Hey everyone, me Kevin here with your stimulus check and stimulus package update for late July 15th. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been getting a little pissed. I'm 28, I have 2 little boys and an awesome wife. I'm a UCLA graduate, I studied economics, accounting, and political science. I've been a licensed real estate broker, a contractor, a lender, and even an FAA certified drone pilot. And I've always believed that our political systems, as crazy as they might seem, were meant to benefit us, the people. The people who wake up every day to work for and provide for our families. I mean, that's what we pay taxes for, right? Is to have systems that work for us. Well, now it seems that the only way we can cope through this pandemic is by shaking our heads in dismay as our Congress argues and bickers over how little stimulus to give us. But why is that? Well, I finally realized one of the reasons. You know how the CARES Act that was passed on March 27th was 1,800 pages long? And the HEROES Act that was passed by the House, but not yet by the Senate, is 2,200 pages long? Have you ever thought about how those bills were drafted? I mean, you might imagine senators who are on recess, burning the midnight oil with their quill pens, struggling for their citizens at night in their home offices or their home libraries. It'd be nice to have a library. Anyway, unfortunately, I realized it's not even close to what actually happens. And I'm gonna tell you exactly what actually happens, but you're really gonna want life insurance after you hear this. So remember, that's available in the link down below. You can get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes, and you can also get 2 free stocks with Webull. Just deposit $100, and they'll give you 2 free stocks. So here's what actually happens in this country. Not always, but most of the time. It's kind of sad. A lot of bills these days aren't actually written by congressmen and women anymore. Instead, what usually happens is politicians who voice their opinions about what their visions are and what they want are then approached by companies with special interests. You know, like, hey, we'd really like to build a factory over here. Can you help us out? So politicians who voice their visions and plans and hopes get taken out to lunch. Now, maybe they get a gift package or a care package. Maybe they get a new iPhone. Who knows? Who knows? And at the same time, maybe the special interests say something like, hey, Mitch, you know, we realize you're planning this really big upcoming bill that you're planning on announcing, next Monday. Hey, we were wondering, why don't we, as a company, we got a whole staff of people who write stuff all the time. I mean, that's what we do. We're a company and we got people employed in offices to do this. Why don't we write the bill for you? We'll get those liability protections in there and we'll make sure to focus on schools because we know, we listen to what you say. We saw you the other day saying if we want a theme for the next stimulus package, it's gonna be liability packages in schools. We hear you. In fact, you know what? Here's kind of a pre-done sort of outline. Here are like 10 bullet points. What do you think about those? Liability protection, schools, removing the disincentive for unemployment insurance and various other things. What do you think about that? You want us to go ahead and give it a stab and put together a bill, and how about we just come back to you? And then what comes back? An 1,800-page bill, or maybe a 3,000-page bill that no human is realistically going to sit through and read every page on. So instead, what actually happens when the lawmakers get these big packages or big parts of bills back? Hey, Mitch, I know this is a long one. We went really overboard on this bill here to make sure it's very thorough. And come on, it's all legalese, right? We wanted to make this easy for you. First, we're gonna teach you this really cool function on your computer. You hit Command F, and it lets you find something. Here, try this. Here, pull up the HEROES Act and go Command F and type in cannabis. See, look at that. Democrats included cannabis 68 times into the HEROES Act. You should mention that. Yeah. Anyway, here, try this version. This is our new proposal that you're gonna propose. Type in liability. Look at that, mentioned 172 times. That's good, right? And see this section right here on page 372? Yep, that's your section right there. In fact, see the headline of this bill as well? We've labeled it, introduced by the Honorable Senator Mitch McConnell. The reality is our lawmakers aren't writing these bills. These bills are drafted by the biggest lobbying firms in the country, companies that represent huge money and deep pockets. Here, think this for a moment. What did tenants get in the HEROES Act, I'm sorry, not the HEROES Act, the CARES Act, what did tenants get? Tenants got no evictions for a certain period of time, right? Well, they still owe the money. I mean, after the eviction ban, the tenants still technically owe the money, right? So it's kind of like every tenant for themselves in negotiating with their landlords. Well, what did landlords get? Oh, 12 months of no payments via forbearance? No impact to your credit, or supposed to be no impact to your credit? And you could push those payments back to the end of the loan term, which basically makes it like free money? 12 months of free money? What? And tenants still have to owe everything? Well, that kind of seems like it favors homeowners, right? And then if we take a look at the 2019 roster to see what the largest lobbies in the United States were, in position 3, we find the National Association of Realtors. This means really rich organizations end up helping Congress by writing bills for them. Now, we don't necessarily know how much influence the National Association of Realtors had, but it doesn't just end there. There's more to the story. But by corporations and special interests taking the opportunity to write bills as a benefit for senators and representatives, they're able to squeeze their own clever wording, their own special interests, and their own loopholes into bills that were never intended on being in those bills in the first place. They're slid in under the guise of, hey, Mitch, we hit all your bullet points. We got you, man. We got you. We'll see you next Wednesday. In fact, the USA Today and Republic together found that 10,000 bills submitted to Congress between 2011 and 2019 were entirely copied from corporations and lobbyists. Over 2,100 of those bills were actually signed into law. So it's kind of like politicians signal what they want, and then big money comes out and says, we got you. Hey, you need something? We got you. Oh, need a bill written for you? No worries. We got you. Senators and representatives submit those to Congress. Look, district. Look, constituents. Look at this beautiful bill I've crafted and put together on your behalf. It wasn't really put together by them. And I mean, this sounds fair, right? I mean, maybe this could be okay. I mean, there's somebody offered to write a bill for free for me. Like, why should the representatives and senators not take the offer to have a bill written for free? I mean, the senator wins. They don't have to spend money on people writing the bill, and the businesses win, you know, because, hey, oh, well, they're doing the country a favor, right? And they're also getting all their loopholes in there. In fact, here's another example for you. The largest lobby in the United States in 2019 was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. They represent business interests. So it's kind of like a business whose job it is to represent other businesses. And now we don't know exactly how much involvement the Commerce Department had here. All I'm saying is the Commerce Department happens to be the largest lobby. And then you happen to know, you probably heard about the Paycheck Protection Program, right? The program was designed to help struggling businesses cover their payroll. And when the law was first signed into effect, the only businesses who could actually get this bailout money were businesses who kept their employees. That is, here, we'll give you a loan to cover your employees' payroll, and as long as you keep them, we'll forgive that loan. So it's basically free money. It's a bailout, right? Well, nobody's really talked about this thoroughly. I briefly mentioned it a few weeks ago, but this is a bigger issue. The last bill that was passed modifying and extending the PPP application window also included provisions that tied or created doors for forgiveness to businesses making an effort or trying to hire people back. In other words, as long as businesses tried to hire their employees back, or they made an effort to hire their employees back, but for some reason they just, I guess business is a little slower than we expected and we had to lay off 20% of our staff. Oh well, we tried. Those loans can now still be forgiven. In other words, here's an example of a wide open loophole that says, yo, we're the Chamber of Commerce. Yo, businesses, y'all want free money? We got it for you. Oh, hey, you gotta lay off people? No worries. Still got free money for you. So you lose money? No problem. You got bailout money too. So literally, the program that was designed for struggling businesses as long as they maintained their employees, had a backdoor loophole dropped in that basically allows any business to get free money, whether or not they actually lay people off or keep them. And because the whole PPP process has been relatively complex, the biggest winners here have been people and companies with lawyers, CPAs, and bankers readily available to help get these businesses through the process. Not all of the small businesses of America. Instead, they got $1,000 per employee, maybe. And what did you get? Us as regular individuals? Well, come on. We got $1,200 checks. That's $10 per day. Corporations may have gotten millions, but I mean, why be relative? You know, what's the saying in the Bible? Comparison is the theft of joy. We shouldn't compare to the corporations that got millions. We got $10 per day. It's been 120 days. And so I don't know about you, but this pisses me off. Here we are at home trying to figure out how we're going to do e-learning with our 4-year-old and 2-year-old sons, struggling to find any semblance of work-life balance, while our lawmakers can't get their act together. And you know, it's kind of starting to make sense. Why would the US Chamber of Commerce actually allow the US to shut down for 30 days to completely shut this virus out? Of course, they wouldn't. It'd be bad for business. So here we are, America in 2020, a land in which we straddle hope while pretending everything can go back to normal. In the meantime, we ignore how screwed up our political system has become. And this is not a Republican issue and it's not a Democrat issue. It's bigger than that. And I'm pissed.